These old S10s, this is a 94. It came with the 4.3. We're keeping it. All right. 4.3 out. Oh, that ain't good. Maybe that piston or that socket will fall out. Think I heard it. She's floppy bird on both sides. I mean, it is what it is. It's just an old truck, man. Look at this when you move the balance shaft. How much play this thing has in it before it starts to grab. Who else wants to see, you know, a turbocharged, all-wheel drive, this old pawpaw truck, S10, stick shift, out there just quarter-mile dragging Hellcats and Corvettes, and God, I hope those people don't show up. Please let it be normal people with normal cars, please. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Full Blast Garage, and man, I can hear that tick-tock countdown for blue collar drags, and man, all I can do is just check the wind, about 8 knots, climb that diving board, hit the triple Indy. Let's dive on into the S10 all-wheel drive turbo build. Just go out, do something that makes you happy, but make sure you're doing it on full blast. So if you guys are not familiar with the event, Blue Collar Drags is going on the same time as the Farmapalooza. I think it's that first weekend in October. It's like October 8th or 9th, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but it's in that range. I'm not even looking at a calendar because I'm so worried I got so much work here. But junkyard digs, pole barn garage, farm truck Asian, all these guys, there's a whole bunch of people that are, you know, in on this event, and we're building this truck for the Road Warrior class. So you got to drive over 200 miles, and then it's kind of free reign from there. And since, you know, I heard Mr. Gilliam bring up, you know, there's gonna be a lot of guys driving Hellcats, Corvettes, late model stuff that's easy to drive down the road. You know, I thought, let's do something a little bit different so that, you know, I might not have the most horsepower, but I'm probably gonna hook up, you know, coming off the line. And if all these guys are just kind of, you know, I don't know, doctors and lawyers driving their 800 horsepower motor, you know, engines up to the drag strip, maybe I can take them because I can actually get off the line with this. We'll see, but if you're not familiar, these old S10s, this is a 94. It came with the 4.3, and we're keeping it. We're keeping this, and we're gonna put Vortec heads, cams, blow-through carb turbo setup. This episode, I mainly just want to pull the motor, assess the rods, the mains, get my sizing for my piston rings. It should be stock bore. I don't believe this thing's had any work done to it. So, and I need to know if this is a balance shaft engine. There's a balance shaft that runs off the cam gear. Or if it's not, is it a roller cam or a flat tappet cam? The GM did some weird stuff in the early 90s to these cars, and you kind of just have to pull it apart and look at it. I've looked at the timing cover. I can't tell if it's any bigger than the other engine I had that I took the heads off of, and that was a balance shaft roller cam. So at least I'm pretty sure I can convert this to a roller cam very easily, no matter what kind of cam is in it, because they all should be drilled and tapped for a roller cam. So let's go ahead. I've gotten everything loose. This is a project, folks. Just getting all the wiring, everything labeled, getting stuff just out of the way to pull this engine out. It took me like most of the day yesterday and a little bit this morning. So I think I have just about everything loose. I'm gonna need to pull, I saw one ground wire I couldn't really reach, and I think the fuel lines on the driver's side are attached to the back of the engine in a spot I couldn't really get to easily, but I think if I slide her forward, I can pull them off pretty easy. Let's go ahead and just start putting the beans to it and see if it wants to come out or not. See if I got all the bell housing bolts out. I think I at least did that right. Okay, so we do have a manual transmission. So you definitely want to, as you pick up, slide her forward. I've already loosened the transmission, slid it as far back, and it pretty much goes out of your pins. All right, we're starting to get some lift off. Anytime I feel it lift, I'm gonna wanna just pull back on it and just see if it will actually slide forward. So what I don't wanna do is just put the transmission in a bind, the input shaft. She feeling pretty tight. All right, I don't think, there's just lots of things moving. I mean, there's so many things in this engine bay, and it's a small engine bay because of this little truck. Now, we have not cleared the engine mount. I'm just checking to make sure we're not on the steering. We should be good to go up. The motor, oh, I heard, it sounded like, I don't know if you could hear that out of the mic, but it sounded like I heard a little doof. So I think the trans did drop down. I did take the steering shaft off the gear because the manifold looks pretty tight over there. Whew. Oh, thought this thing would probably be a bear, and I think I'm right. Let me get a light in here and just see how far off the mounts we are. Like, not much at all, really? We still got a ways to go. This side's way up. Other side, not so much. All right, I think I'm jammed up somewhere. Well, she's pretty loose. Oh, it's just because the engine mount's in two pieces on this side. Quality. I'm gonna climb under, make sure our transmission has slid back, and then I'll keep trying to pull this thing out. Got her up in the air. Man, it turns out these S10s that are 4x4, you can't pull the motor in any direction other than straight up because the sump of the oil pan hits the front diff. So you can drop the axle or you have to pull the transmission real far back. So I had to pull the transmission cross member and I hooked a ratchet strap up to the cone of the transfer case and just sucked it back enough where the input shaft of the transmission cleared all the clutch and everything. Like, you had to pull it way far back. So at least probably 6 inches, I would say. But I got the motor up, and I think everything's gonna clear now. So not the easiest engine bay to work in. We're still real tight. Woo! There we go. She's rocking. Still got to get this thing up pretty high. Just making sure we're not snagging on the harness. Get the oil pan to clear. Ooh. Get these oil cooler lines out of the way. All right. We're almost there. This thing's gonna have to go back in the same way, just straight down. And that's all the jack I have. All right. 4.3 out. Let's get this thing on the engine stand. All right, we got the 4.3 out on the engine stand. Went ahead and off camera just pulled the power steering pump pulley off, because you have to do that to get it all the bolts on the accessory drive. So you can drop the power steering pump out, then access everything that's going to the block and the heads. So we're gonna go ahead and tear this thing down to the studs and see what we got. So we got to look at main bearings, rod bearings, the heads, the cam. Do we have a balance shaft? Do we have a roller cam? So to do that, we need to get everything off. But let's go ahead and just dive into it. Well, hope you guys enjoyed watching me tear that down. Man, I don't know if you guys can see the oil pump pickup. It's kind of hard on camera, at least for me to tell. There's not a single bit of debris in this thing at all. I'm shocked. But what I want to do is just pull a main cap and assess the mains, or at least a main. Sometimes these guys will want to fight you some. Sometimes they'll just pop right off. Pretty sure this guy's coming right up. You always want to keep your orientation noted. Make sure you put it back on the same way. So I can see some numbers here. Just want to make sure the numbers go back on the same way they came off. So we don't have a spun bearing, and man, that looks like a brand new main bearing. There's one You can kind of feel it, just a tiny bit. Let me get a paper towel here. Yeah, we do. So we do have a spot on our crank we're probably going to want to polish. So what most likely happened is a piece of debris or something got in between the crank and the bearing there and just kind of put a little groove. It's barely, you can feel it. You can feel it through your glove with your fingernail. Not horrible, but you can feel it. Trying to get this guy pried out if I can. Maybe. All right, let me find some tools. Okay, I just kind of gently pried on this guy with a screwdriver to where she would flip. And we should get a part number or something that tells us that this thing's standard. Okay, I see a part number on here. GM45 or I think it says GM45. I mean, everything looks pretty good. Let me Google this number. Tell us if we have standard size main bearings. I'm guessing we do. I can't imagine this thing's been gone through. All right, let me grab my phone, look that up, and I'll let you guys know what size bearings we have. All right, well, it looks like these might be like a factory rebuild main bearing with that 45, but I think I'm just gonna have to measure stuff. Who knows? Oh, that ain't good. Have to get the magnet for that one. All right, let's check the rods. Man, I'm on a roll dropping sockets. So I did check the rods. None of them have any up-down issues. You got a little bit of normal side-to-side play. Bearing stayed on, not great, but it's there. Oop, wasn't spun until I started messing with it. Maybe. This thing's like glued with the oil on there. Come on. All right, rod bearings. Grab another towel. Do an assessment. I'm guessing since they all feel pretty similar, they're all going to be about the same. No weird movement or anything. There's definitely, you can see some wear. There's no copper showing through anywhere. Maybe some light copper up here. Nothing entirely concerning to me. And this guy says the same thing. So GM45. So it looks from everything I Googled, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, please put it in the comments, that 45 was like a stock rebuild number, but it didn't necessarily correspond to any measurements, which is awesome. So I think I'm probably gonna have to mic stuff or use plasti gauge. But the crank, no spots on the crank on the rod here. I mean, I think we're looking pretty decent. Move that other rod bearing back into place. There we go, she's back on the piston. I'm just gonna put the nuts just hand tight on here so I don't lose them. And go find a magnet so I can pull the socket out of the bottom of the piston that I dropped in there. So I think we're probably all standard. It's gonna take some measuring, but this is about what I expected to see. There's nothing wrong with this engine, it's just got miles. You know, the normal stuff for kind of, I don't know, mid to late 90s, what you would see. Maybe that piston or that socket will fall out. Think I heard it. All right, let me show you guys the bores, because that was another thing. We need to know if it had a balance shaft, which it does, roller rockers, which it does. I pulled the roller rockers, balance shaft, that's important to know. And then we need to look and make sure we're a 4-inch bore, standard bore, so I can order rings. Everything on the motor looks fine. I mean, it just looks like it's got miles. All right, one thing I wanted to show you guys. So when you're rebuilding one of these, always look at your timing chain. A lot of guys are like, it wasn't making any noise, let's just reuse it. This one wasn't. It was fine, and look. And sometimes you guys will get this, but that side will be tight, like super tight. And that's normally, and maybe half that much be pretty passable, but she's floppy bird on both sides. I'd say that's a worn out timing chain. And you can see, you know, kind of witness marks where it's been walking off the little crank key here. I mean, this is worn out. Yeah, wear. But it is an original General Motors, so man, is it the original timing chain? If so, it's got 170,000 miles on it. Freeze plugs, I don't know, maybe passable. But yeah, let's look in the bores. See if I can grab my light here. So the dirt is from taking the head off. Pay no attention to that. What you want to look at are the cylinder walls. No gouging, no rust, nothing like that. When you kind of just see this sheen with no cross hatching, that's just a really good indication that your motor's got a ton of miles on it. Again, look here. You almost can see a tiny bit of cross hatching. If you look real close, maybe there, that might be the best view. Tiny bit. And that piston, it's all the way up. Let's look on passenger here. I mean, again, it's gonna be, oh man, my light's dead. It's gonna be dirty. Just look past that. I think all my lights are dead. Cell phone? Question mark? Are you enough light? Maybe. And it's better than nothing. Again, what you're looking for here is just rust, gouges. If the piston's sat for a long time in one spot, like where the rings started to fuse to the cylinder wall, nothing. It's just well-run engine. It's almost like a mirror finish, which you want like a flat. You want to see hatching, and you want it to look like a flat, not a shiny looking color. That's polished. It's not gonna seal well because you want your rings to seal up against the cylinder wall. But what also is important on these, there's no markings. Like this guy is real easy to look at because she's top dead center. If this guy was 30 over, 60 over, something like that, you'd see a big marking somewhere that this is a non-factory piston. It would say like 0.060, 0.030, and normally there's markings, you know, especially aftermarket, they'll put a mark towards the front, how to orient the piston and the bore. These guys are bone stock GM. I've seen these in multiple Vortec engines I've taken apart. So I think for a hobo rebuild, we've got a great candidate. It wasn't knocking, wasn't getting a ton of metal in the oil. Seemed to run okay, down on power, but I mean, it is what it is. It's just an old truck. So we're gonna try and probably close to double the horsepower the engine has right now. And if you guys didn't see my last video, go back and watch it. I'm planning on doing all AI recommendations. So I put in the prompt that I wanted an 11-second quarter-mile truck, or just a quarter-mile vehicle, not even necessarily a truck. And it pointed me to an S10 4x4 that we can turn all-wheel drive. AI actually wanted me to launch it in 4 high. I kind of vetoed that because I think it'd be better to make an all-wheel drive truck. And just in general, launching in 4 high on something like in a transfer case with no slip, probably not the best idea. And then for the motor, it wants us to get Vortec heads, which I have, a comp cam. I can't remember the exact specs on it, but it's essentially as much lift as you can go with these stock pistons. So we're doing that, comp cam, gas ported piston rings. We got Edelbrock intake, blow through carb. So that will be the naturally aspirated part of it. Then we'll start with the turbo kit. But I have got to go get on the computer and order a ton of parts for this engine. You know, like this, you got to tear it down to figure out what you need, you know, and I got, man, look at this when you move the balance shaft, how much play this thing has in it before it starts to grab. If anything, the motor will be better by the time I'm done. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little teardown exercise on a GM 4.3. It'd be pretty much exactly the same for a 350, but you got 2 extra cylinders. That's all this motor is I think it's the middle cylinders are gone and everything else is there. Yeah, it's a 4.3 Vortec. And we're hoping to get at least 400 crank horse out of with a turbo package. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and if you could, like, comment, subscribe, hype the channel. We're just kicking off our blue collar drag build, and I think this thing's gonna be really cool when we're done. So who else wants to see, you know, a turbocharged, all-wheel drive, just old pawpaw truck, S10, stick shift, out there just quarter-mile dragging Hellcats and Corvettes, and God, I hope those people don't show up. Please let it be normal people with normal cars, please. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until you see me again, just go out, do something that makes you happy. Make sure you're doing it on full blast. I'll see y'all later.